Welcome to the Miracle You, guiding you on the journey towards finding passion and purpose and how to discover, create, and live a life by your design. Whether your success has been plentiful or your missed opportunities have been overwhelming, we can help you become a more empowered, masterful person and show you how to share your gift with the world. It's time to inspire change from within with the host of the Miracle You, Vince Kramer.
Hello, imagination. I'm Vince Kramer, your host, and welcome to the Miracle You, where you learn about the magic of living your life by finding the example in real life.
There are so many things that happen in our lives to guide us and take us into the direction of who we're meant to be. Understanding and knowing that we're constantly being given ways to develop our gifts and talents and to find the confidence to use those gifts and talents to share in a way that will change others' lives. As we bring all of who we are into harmony with the world around us, with the gifts and talents that we have, and the understanding that we're here to share and make a difference in the world, we truly can make that difference. I'm with Annie Delre today. Annie is a nationally board certified health and wellness coach who has worked with hundreds of clients to help them achieve a life of confidence, wellness, and success. Her mission is to empower people to be strong, independent, and confident. Along with multiple certifications, she's earned her bachelor's degree in psychology and a master's degree in integrative wellness coaching. Originally from New Jersey, she now calls beautiful San Diego, California, her home. Annie Delre, are you ready to share the miracle of you with the imagination?
Yes, I can't wait.
I'm so excited to have you here. There's so much that you bring to the table that I want to make sure that I share with the imagination. But before we do that, would you tell everybody a little bit more about what you're doing right now and how you're bringing your purpose to the world?
Sure. So I am a health and wellness coach. I know you heard in the intro, but what I do is, well, I've worked with hundreds of clients in different areas of life, different struggles. I'm sure have you heard of the wellness wheel or the wheel of life?
Oh, please share it with everyone.
Okay, so think of a pizza pie, and the different slices are different areas of your life. So financial, spiritual, physical, mental. So because of my master's in integrative wellness coaching, I really like to take that integrative mind, body, soul approach. So um, a lot of it comes down to stress management. Because of the stress, it's too overwhelming to really be optimal and successful, mentally successful. So, not so much that it means money and jewels and fame, but the person feeling successful.
We share an imagination that, or we share through Imagine Miracles actually, that as we really uncover who we are and how to best show up in the world and really come from that place of service, that the other successes just come as part of the attraction that we have into our lives. And I really like how the bio shared that it's truly integrative, as you said. The integration is confidence, wellness, and success in a way that empowers people. What was the thing that happened in your life? What was the wake up moment that said, this is why I'm here and this is what I want to deliver?
There may have been two wake up moments if I'm being honest. The first is when my sisters were born. There's a 12-year age gap and they're twins. So, and these are little people, well, they're 18 now, but these are people that I prayed so hard into the world it hurt. Every Christmas, every mass, every birthday, that I want a sister. I had three brothers, so I was like, I want a sister, I want a sister, I want a sister. So when they were born, I was like, it's time to level up. You need to be a role model. You need to be a strong woman because there's little people looking at you now. 12-year difference, right? Like, And then the second one was growing up in my house. Like I said, I have three brothers, and just seeing people suffering from addiction. One of my brothers, from like 15, and then he actually overdosed and passed away at 30. And if you've ever loved someone suffering from addiction, you see the world differently. And when I saw that, I realized like a lot of people are hurting, and how can I help with that hurt? So there's more than just healing, but there's thriving. And yeah, I would say those two things really changed the game for me.
And it's interesting that you shared both sides of it. So many people think that a wake up call is something drastic in our lives, but we have conscious wake ups too that are not necessarily so drastic, like a divorce, an addiction in the family, a death in the family. Those are truly crisis wake ups. But these conscious wake ups of, oh, wait a minute. I want life to be different. I want to see life differently. I want others to see life differently, happen to all of us too along the way. It's usually because we don't pay attention to those early ones that some of the crisis ones show up in our lives. As you started to see how important it was to be a role model, because I do believe that it's through our example that we truly teach, that we truly help people on their journey. You were just 12 years old at the time, and yet you knew that it was time to step up and really be that example. Could you kind of walk us through that? Because it's kind of early for a realization, and I think it will help everybody see that they've had those realizations along their growing up also.
Sure. I don't know if this is too far fetched. So stay with me. No, just kidding. I don't know if this is like too personal, but um my body started developing at 9 years old. So very quickly I was sexualized by people older. And I got this like real glimpse into adulthood when I was not an adult. So having little sisters was like, this is so exciting. Also, oh my gosh, now you're in this world, and like this world could be wild, and oh my gosh, I just want to shelter you. And I'm sure all parents feel this way, like, I just want to shelter you, but also, how are you going to grow if you're sheltered, and the world would eat you alive if you're this sheltered? So seeing things as a young woman that I was, and having this excitement and fear for them, um, and having brothers, right? I also saw how young boys were, and I'm not saying that boys are the problem, or that they're the only hardship that comes with life. It was just a part of it, and they were born like, they were girls, they were boys, so they were raised differently. And also just the idea of friendship with gals, and how that's a different type of bond. And another big thing was, love your sister and be kind to her. Your sister is your best friend. Family is forever, truly, like whether we like it or not, right? But I would say that I was like a healthy distance enough so that I still knew what it was like to be a bit younger, but also old enough to know there's a lot more left. There's a lot to learn. But I'm more than happy to teach you what I do know. Actually, I wrote a book for them as an adult. So that's how much I just wanted to share. Like, let me word vomit everything I know because I love you so much.
So the interesting thing is, as we talk quantum physics, how we show up as energy, what's happening around us. There are no mistakes or coincidences. Quantum physics spells that out for us. So at 12 years old, you were part of that co-creation of bringing your younger sisters into the world, and to really help you on your journey. So in what you learned, and the things that you saw with your brothers, the things that you saw with your sisters, what led you into pursuing a bachelor's degree in psychology?
Okay, so with all those people in the house, I was like, this is a wild ride. And then back to the idea of like nature versus nurture. Like, we're all different. These are all different. There's so many people in this house, and we all have some similarities, but such different personalities. I also grew up in a strict Catholic home. So that also changed my view of some things. And I grew up in a Catholic school. So when I turned to public school, I was like, whoa, not everyone is like Catholic school. I heard kids cursing at their teachers for the first time, and I almost fell out of my chair because I could not believe the sass. And I mean, I curse. I'm not saying that that's terrible. I'm just saying, like, young children at their teachers, I was just blown away. So as I'm learning about all these different things, and wow, you shouldn't wake up or grow up sheltered, because like I said before, like the real world gets a lot harder because you went from shelter to the gates wide open, and now you're like, how do I process this all? I don't really have coping skills because I was told to ignore it, or I didn't even know it existed. I would say just watching people suffer around me in different ways, like even gal pals, watching them struggle with their weight or self-esteem, or seeing how their families treated them. I took my first class in high school and I was like, let me see what this is about. And then I was like, oh, this is all like the secrets to the universe. And then I started getting into like the quote unquote woo woo things. And I was like, there's such thing as a law of attraction. Oh my gosh, I was doing this the whole time. I didn't know it was called this. Everyone has different views, right? Like if you were to ask someone else, they may say, no, God did that for you. And I'm not saying God didn't do it for me, but also that I did have control over my thoughts and my feelings. And that was really empowering, especially when I was younger, watching all these adults acting like this is just adulthood. It's really hard. No one has it figured out. You're the victim, right? And it doesn't have to be that way.
So when you got started on the journey of psychology, was the thought that you were going to be a therapist? Is that what was where it was leading you to begin with?
Yes, you hit the nail on the head. Totally. Because I didn't know what coaching was yet. Coaching was still like life coach, right? It wasn't really taken seriously. Um, so I didn't even hear about it for a while. And then I learned about it. I learned there was a difference. And I was like, oh, wow, coaching is what I want to do. Oh, cool. They have a whole field for this.
So share with us your understanding, kind of your definitions of what a therapist is, what a coach is, and why you chose to be a coach.
Sure. And that's actually, I always describe coaching in comparison to therapy because a lot of people are more familiar with therapy. Working with a therapist, what you're doing is you're addressing the past so you can cope with the present, and healing so that you can coping in the present and as healthy version of you. While coaching, you are coping with the present. We are not spending time in the past, very little time in the past. And the only thing I care about in our sessions is the future. So, an example may be a client telling me like a 2 to 3 minute story. I would gently stop them and say, like, I appreciate the background. What did you learn from this? Because that's really all that matters.
Mhm.
I'd say that's like the basic differences between them.
I think that was very well described that
Mm,
we have a tendency to want to spend time in the past. And a lot of that's because that's how the brain operates. That, okay, if we can use our experiences from before, we know how to deal with right now. But wouldn't you say that we kind of live the same life if we keep using the same experiences to make decisions?
100%. I mean, 100%. And that's why there's no forward movement, because we're told you have to unpack the past, you have to heal from the past, you have to. But eventually you have to stop sitting there and ruminating in it and move forward. But people like to say, like, oh, it's because of your parents you're like that. No, that's a victim. Like, what already happened happened. After 18, you got to figure it out. I did. And I don't mean everyone has the resources to, but after 18, you have to stop using that excuse. See a therapist, figure out why it is, and then move on. And I know that sounds like I'm being, like, I'm just acting like it's super simple, but therapists are amazing. I've seen plenty. Um, but I think there's too much hand holding. After you get to a point in therapy, it is time for forward movement. If not, it's a crutch.
I like to see people who have come out of some therapy or some coaching with an understanding of, yes, God may have given this to me, but God gave us free will. And in that free will, we got to choose our perceptions. And I understand that our perceptions as a young child was driven by our parents, was driven by our grandparents, driven by religion, driven by our teachers in a lot of ways. But once that reasoning part of our brain started to develop around 7 years old, and finally we got it working all the way in our late 20s, it's really time to take the adult to a place where, oh, this is why I perceived it. I understand why that little child perceived it this way. And you said it so well. Our power comes from realizing that we have a choice now on how we look at the past. And what I have found is, if we can glance at the past, understand where the perception came from, realize the gift in it, now you just changed your past, and there's no reason to go back there and try to find the reason. And I love the way that you shared that in terms that everybody can see and everybody can understand. So share with me what it means to you to be a health and wellness coach.
I think what it means is being aligned, mind and body. Like, I don't have abs. Being a health coach doesn't mean you have to be like this triathlon runner, but I'm mindful of what I put into my body and what I'm eating. I'm mindful of the words I say, or the people I hang out with, the social media that I'm on. I would say a health and wellness coach is someone who is striving to be better, but so that they're a role model to show other people that um, there is better. Good is good, but better is better. And I don't mean that again as like you need the rich and you need to be rich in the fame, but you can have better relationships. You can have better fitness, but that could mean simply taking walks every day. Being better nutrition wise could mean that you're more hydrated. Does not mean you're counting your calories. And I think everyone thinks in extremes, like, okay, I have to work on my finances. That means 20K in savings. Why? Like, why? Or I need to be fit. That means the gym 3 times a week. Or a lot of my clients want to do it 7 days a week. And I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Let's talk about this for a second, because it's exciting to set those goals. But what we're looking for is a lifestyle change, not a 1 week goal. So I think also that accepting that this is a lifestyle.
What's the age group of the people that you coach? Is it, well, just share with us the age group that you work with.
Okay, I've worked with teens up to 84 years old.
Okay.
That was my oldest client. I would say commonly as people in their late 20s, 30s, and 40s. But I've worked with plenty of people in their 50s. I would say after your 50s, there's less people in their 60s, 70s, and 80s coming to me, but because sometimes they need more specific coaching. So, for example, coaching in retirement, coaching after your loved one passes away. And it's not that those other age groups don't have it, but it's just less common.
Mm-hmm. So the reason I asked that question was that
Mm-hmm.
it was a lead into, what do you see are the common or the main areas of struggle for most people?
Stress and time management by far. Stress and this is an extreme word, but I explain it as it's a cancer that spreads into every area in your life. And actually confidence in that. Um, yes, I would say those are the top three: stress management, time management, and confidence. And the confidence is what's pretty much keeping them from that forward movement in other areas.
So when you say stress management, can you share with us what
Mm-hmm.
the biggest stresses are for most people and why it's been hard for them to manage it up till now?
A big one is it's commonly known as work-life balance, but I do not like the word balance because, in my opinion, And I think most people also feel this way. They don't want 50-50 work and home. So why are we looking for a 50-50 balance? The word I use instead is harmony. How can we make our work and personal life in harmony? And why you're so stressed is because you keep searching for this 50-50, or you're doing 75-25. So you're saying, like, oh, I care so much about my family, I wish I had more time. Well, you're prioritizing 75% of your time on work. Of course you're not happy. Like, this is cognitive dissonance. You're wanting one thing and you're doing another. This is what's leading to stress because you're not aligned. So I would say this, like, constant look for balance, 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 because it's a myth. So of course, like, it's going to be hard to reach. Stress about family, especially with COVID and the elections and just the idea of people not aligning. Um, a lot of stress with that, or even parents with their kids. And I'll use COVID as another example. They had no idea what they were doing. How are they to explain it to kids? So that was really stressful. Also, some parents were like, I don't even like my kids. I can't believe I'm stuck in the house with them this long. I liked them before this. That doesn't sound kind, but I mean, they were reporting that.
As life changes and as the environment around us change, we have to find a balance in our ability to deal with it on the inside, not necessarily making the balance on the outside. It's the balance on the inside, right? It's the hormones, it's the chemicals, it's everything that's driving the issues of, first of all, experiencing stress in the body, and then the deterioration that stress causes in it. So, as a wellness coach, what kind of things are happening inside our body because of the stress?
A lot of pain. And the other thing is, I tell people you're exhausted because your brain is like a computer and you have 100 tabs open and they're all running at the same time. So you're stressing about a ton of things. Like, one of the things I first have them do is, I call it a brain dump. Put everything down in paper that's on your mind. And people are like, I'm so overwhelmed. I have so many problems. And they put it down on paper and they're like, I thought I had 100 problems, and it comes down to 3 things. And even knowing that, like, wow, it's not 100 things that are wrong, it's 3 things. Now it's more, I'm able to process this a bit more because I put to words exactly what I'm worried about.
Yeah, the voices running in our head constantly can be calmed, because, as you shared, once we see in front of us, and sometimes it needs to be in black and white, see in front of us that this is where life is. It's not all these things that are going through my head constantly over and over again that really um, give us an opportunity to step further into who we are. And I really believe once we discover, this is why I'm here, this is the difference I'm supposed to make, now balance comes in making the difference and the life flowing around that difference that you're making.
Yes.
Give us an example of one of the common things that you see in your clients. So maybe an example of a client that represents a lot of what you're seeing, and how you've helped them on the journey, and where they're at now compared to where they started.
I'll take this one gal, for example. She was in her early 20s. And I don't think I have to tell you about, like, the wild ride that is your 20s. Like, you're just really figuring out adulthood. It's very overwhelming. And I had a gal who hated her job. Like, she just simply did not like it. Her coworkers were mean to her. She had no confidence. She had trouble with skin picking. So, like, literally picking her skin, a lot on her face. So that's originally what she came to me for. So we worked on stress management and behavioral changes to not pick her skin. So she does do good on that. We learned some stress management. And then she says, okay, cool, I got that figured out. I hate my job. What are we going to do? So then we work together on that, in determining, one of the big things for goals is, like, what's your why? And her why was, and how strong it is. And you were pretty much just mentioning that idea. How strong is your why? And her why was, I don't want to be in a job that I hate, and I want to serve people. We discussed her dream job, but then she realized she had to go back to school. but it could be a certification. So then the goal was getting into the certification course. Then the goal was studying. And as she's doing these things, her confidence is building and building and building. And she's getting so excited about her future. And then she gets her dream job. And then we work on her confidence at work on how to get a promotion. It was just very, very exciting to see her journey. And I know I'm doing it right when people vocalize it. So she was just saying, like, my life changed when I met you. And I know that sounds very ego driven, but it is nice to hear confirmation, because if not, what are we doing here? I don't know if this is working for you. So I would say she was a great example of someone who really put in the work and had a great transformation.
I love the fact that you said the confidence builds and builds and builds. And in the research I've done about what you're doing, Annie, and how you're truly showing up in the world, I didn't see anything around this, but I just feel the need to ask you this question. I just want to hear your perspective on this. In the work that I do and the people that I work with, I find that confidence has really been destroyed because we believe that we're supposed to follow everyone else's rules. And that's how we show up. And that's how we're truly going to show up in the world. And I truly believe from my heart that we're here to have our own rules to live life the way that we're meant to. So tell me how you feel about that.
I think so too. I think so too. And I think a great example of that is that happiness can be different for different people. So there's things that something that brings me joy may not work for another person. So why would our rules work the same? Even religion, people follow different rules that they set. Just say, because we also have different personalities, and because our wants are different and our personalities are different, it's almost like a math problem. How you can solve it different ways, but your teacher says you have to do it the way I taught you. You have to do it the way I taught you. But not all of our brains work that way. So it might take us 15 minutes to finish that math problem, when if you did your way, you could do it in 2. So I think we're taught that in school. You have to do it this way. You have to do it this way.
The society as a whole right now, and we're moving out of it more and more with AI. We're moving out of it with the availability of the internet. We're moving out of it's got to be done a certain way. Unfortunately, for young children, and we all were young children at one time, we're spending so much time trying to win the approval, win the love, win the safety of those around us. And through those, the looking through the lens of a child, we kind of just soak up everyone else's rules. So what would you recommend for someone where they're at a point in their life right now and they just heard us talking about rules, and it's time for them to move into their own? What would you suggest for them?
One of the things that I think that's a really groundbreaking exercise is to write down the rules that you were taught. So then you can question them. So that I almost like writing down your limited beliefs so that you can write the opposite. Because it's almost like you don't know what you don't know. Where was I taught that? Oh, my dad used to say filthy rich. Money is filthy. They're stupid rich. All right, you can be stupid and rich, right? Okay, I'll just be stupid then. So questioning, where did I learn that? If you blank, you go to hell. Okay, where did I learn that? That's a definite rule. And then you're able to question it. Do I really believe this? No, actually, this doesn't resonate with me. So I think it's starting with actually, what do you think are these rules?
Great advice, because I have found in the clients that I've worked with and my own internal work, because before I stepped out to do anything on the outside, I knew I had to do the internal work. And it's just the awareness sometimes that, oh, I have that rule. Oh, I have that belief. About 65% of them you can change just like that. snapping a finger, because you just have an awareness now that it's there and it makes no sense. Now there's that other 35 that we have to work on a little bit harder. But like you said, it's writing down is so powerful. So I really appreciate that. Believe it or not, Annie, we're already close to the end of our time. What's that
I can't
parting
believe
piece
it.
of guidance that you want somebody to take away from our time together?
I guess this isn't exactly what we've been talking about, but this is just an amazing life tip is focus on what you can control and release what you can't, because holding on to the things we can't control is what's driving us mad.
That's powerful advice. And in just hearing those words, I know that each person that's listening right now can think of one or two or maybe three things that, oh yes, I'm working really hard to try to change that, and it's out of my control. So thank you for sharing that. Annie, how can people get in touch with you, learn more about you?
So they can find me on Facebook or LinkedIn, or just right at my website. I make it super easy with a contact form. They can reach out directly. I'd love to hear from people, and not so much I want to sign you as a client, but the people that listen to you, I feel are like-minded and like-hearted. So that's a beautiful thing.
And I'll make sure that all that information is made available on Annie's show page. Just go to themiracleyou.com, find the show page. All that information will be available, how you can reach out to Annie. Thank you so much for sharing your time today, your wisdom, your love for people, and the difference that you're going to make in the world. I really appreciate who you are.
Thanks for this opportunity. I really appreciate it.
I enjoyed it, had a great time. On behalf of my wife, Mary, the entire team here at Imagine Miracles, we want to wish each and every one of you a miracle day.
You've completed this episode of The Miracle You, but we have plenty more to help you discover your own personal passion and purpose. Head over to themiracleyou.com for free resources to assist you on your journey, as well as register for our free webinar, Discover Your Miracle Life, 3 Mind Awakening Steps Toward Your Unique Purpose, or apply for a one-on-one Your Life, Your Way breakthrough session and discover your next best step on your journey. All available exclusively on our website. That's themiracleyou.com. We look forward to sharing more experiences of passion, purpose, and life by design next time, right here on The Miracle You.